Hello and welcome to another edition of SafenESS from ESS. My name is Brian Sankey, I'm the Product Development Manager for ESS, and we're here today to show you lots of equipment about confined space and the type of equipment that we use when going down into confined space. All right. First of all, what you need to start with is your personal protective equipment. All right. So, for example, we're looking at safety footwear. All right. We're looking at overalls, some really good industrial, hazardous, fire retardant overalls that are reflective as well. All right. We're also looking at gloves. All right. Hands and gloves, obviously to keep your hands clean whilst you're in those confined spaces. All right. We're also looking at communications. We need communications whilst we're down, all right? So you need a radio of some sort, okay? Good lighting as well. Nice good light to brighten up the area while you're in that confined space. We also need a gas detector of some variety that's going to detect gases if you're standing down, going down into that confined space. These are all the main things that you need, as well as your safety helmet, all right? That's the most important thing to obviously protect your head, all right? Other things you can use as well as optional things are ear defenders. Again, if you're working in that confined space where it's a really noisy area. Obviously your safety goggles as well. Obviously those are a good thing to protect your eyes from any dust that might be traveling around in that confined space. Also any sort of respiration that you might need as well in that confined space, working along the lines of dust in that area as well. And another optional extra you can have would be your knee pads. You know, obviously if you're going down that confined space, you're going to be obviously needing a lot, so knee pads will be a good optional extra as well. All right, so that's all our rundown of our safety equipment. Obviously I've got my harness on as well to be able to go down into that confined space. The harness must have a rescue attachment on it, all right, so that if you're in that confined space you can then be retrieved out of it should you become unconscious for whatever reason. Okay, so that's our personal protective equipment, what we're going to use. We're now going to look at obviously the type of equipment that we would use to go down into a confined space. All right, so some of the things we've got here in front of us, we've got our normal stuff like our escape set, so our PP10 escape set from Draeger, you know, that's there for an emergency if the gas detector goes off in that confined space, provided you've had the relevant CS1 and CS2 training, which we provide. You can then obviously open that escape set and get out of that confined space in a safe manner. All right. We've also got defibs. All right. So these are now more common around these types of jobs. Okay. So defib is a good thing to have on site ready should it be needed. All right. And of course your first aid kit. All right. Because people do injure themselves slightly on these confined space jobs. So it's always a good mindset to have a first aid kit there as well. Okay. If we look at the equipment then. So we've got our Abtech tripod, all right, so the height for this is 2.4 meters, all right. It's a 3-pulley tripod, which means effectively you can have up to 3 different types of winches or retrievers on either leg, all right. And that's the benefit of this tripod solely. You can see we've got this set up in a full arrest configuration. So we've got our Globestock G-Saver retriever on the one leg there, which is set up for rescue and retrieval only. All right. It's worth noting that retriever is only to be used in a rescue situation. It's not to be used as a winch all the time, constantly. All right. So we've got our retriever there. It's 14 meters in length, and that's sufficient generally for most confined spaces. All right. After that, we've got a backup of our man riding winch, which is our 50 meter Globestock G winch. All right, man riding winch. This is enabling us then to eliminate the risk. If you think when you're using a retriever, the person who's using that retriever may well be going down on some ladders to climb down into that confined space. All right. Now the risk of that is they could slip off that rung of ladder, and obviously the retriever will grab them and hold them, and then someone else will then rescue them out of that confined space. But by using this man riding winch, you can ultimately eliminate that risk completely. All right. So you can connect the person up. We could put them into a bosun's chair, for example, which we'll come into later. All right. And then we could lower the person down in that bosun's chair, connect the bosun's chair to a man riding winch, and the harness of the occupant will then still be attached to the retriever. All right. So we've got eliminating the risk totally of someone falling on their descent into that confined space. Okay. Other things to talk about in regards to other equipment, we've got these nice floodlights that attach to our leg on our tripod, lighting up the area with LED lights. All right, so that's a really good added product on there that can go onto the fleet as well. Other things to mention about the tripod as well, you've got these further anchor points at the top of the tripod. So again, some people might not necessarily need winches, but they'll have their own rope access pulley system, which they'll use to connect up onto there as well. All right, so that's our standard fall arrest confined space equipment. Okay? Thank you very much for listening and watching.